Hey, I wanted to show you guys like a cool little feature I added to my project. So maybe you can implement it yourself. I've been, I'm like a C# developer. I'm very used to like the debug class, and I really enjoy using that class. It like automatically gets compiled out. And so you have this debug flag that doesn't affect performance at all, and you can add it everywhere and just have like an automatic like debugger statement everywhere in your code. And I wanted to implement that in JavaScript. And so I wanted to teach you guys today what the benefit is and how you could do it. So the basics is I have this class called debug, and I have a bunch of similar methods that you've probably seen in C sharp, like assert, fail, assert null, and all these things do is if you're not in production, if we're not in production code, so if we're in debug mode, we're gonna console log the error, and then we're gonna have a debugger statement here, so that in the Chrome debugger, we're gonna automatically open the debugger will open if we assert. All right, so here I am in my layout class. I'm using Next.js and React. So all I have to do is say debug dot fail, and I'm gonna put a message test failed, test fail. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. And then when I save this, it will automatically. I already have my website loaded. If I open, if I reload my page, let me just show you guys so you guys see. When I reload my page, automatically the debugger opens. And so you can see the message test fail, and then you can check the log, and you can see I was in the render method. And you can check what was happening here at the time. And so this just makes it super easy to debug your code. And the reason I use this over exceptions is if you use an exception, you're already so far along from like removed from when the error happened, so to say. Like you can have an exception like multiple minutes after like some state changed in your code. So you want to assert states, certain specific things like maybe I need user agent to be I can only accept Chrome inside my user agent, and if it's not Chrome, I'm probably gonna break at some time with like my images or something. I don't know. Just some random thought, right? So the way I make this compile time is what is really interesting about this code. And if we go to remove assert, I have a Babel file that basically all it does is if I find a member expression, uh, basically if I find debug and it has an assert or fail in the name of the property, let's say if I find this guy here and there's this method, this property here fail, or it says assert like anything, like a null or assert yada yada, it will remove it from the code in the compile time. And then what I do is when I'm in my Babel config, I include it, but only in production. So in production code, I remove this line of code. I could make this a package if people wanted me to, but remove. I have some tests for it, basically certain things that I want. So there's a Babel like plugin tester, but basically I have this debug assert here, and then in the output of the compile after compilation, like Babel compilation, it'll remove it in the output. So this is what the original code was, and this is what the output code will be. I don't know if there's a better way to test Babel code, but this is how I did it. So I mean, thinking about it, this is probably overkill and it's not necessary, but just in case I have that just like fallback. I'm not going too far into why you would want to use debug, but overall, I really love this. If you're familiar with debug, this is how you would do it in JavaScript so that you can just use debug dot something something. I guess the last part of this is how do I make my debug global? So the way I make this code global is by having this Webpack provide plugin, and basically just makes a lot of these global because they're things I use almost everywhere. So React, I don't really want to include it always, and so I don't want to include debug always either. And so I just add it to my basically like globals. It's just provided to me by Webpack everywhere I am. So if I use debug, it's automatically included. So if you want to use this code, I'll include like a link in the description to go to my website, and it'll lay out all the code so you can download it or copy and paste it and implement it in your own project. I started using this instead of the built-in console.assert because I don't like the console assert. All it does is print a little statement to the the logs of the debug tool. So what I really want is I want like a debugger to happen, sort of like in C sharp where the assert window appears. I need it to be like front and center so that I fix that thing because I know if that assert happens, then it's something's wrong with my code and I need to fix that.